everybody. What a beautiful Thursday it is to get in here and really get some information. You know, Sarah National has put so much effort into bringing about incredible speakers, incredible presenters for all of us to just help to propel us forward. So I am absolutely delighted to tell you about today's presenter. She is Claudia Herrmann. She is the president and chairman of the Emma Foundation. And so I'll tell you a little bit more about that. Essentially, what this does is it's a business, a nonprofit that was formed to promote Hispanic business and also to promote professional women. So she is somebody who really has a passion and desire to help people who want to start their own businesses, who want to grow their existing businesses, or simply want to achieve personal growth. And it ties so well into the focus of today's session, which is your roadmap for success as an entrepreneur. So we're talking about really the fundamentals of establishing your business plan. Also, sitting down and analyzing your why you want to do this in the first place. We're talking about your opportunities, your potential market, and also honing in on what you bring to the table. There is so much more that Claudia is going to get into. She really has an incredible presentation for us today. I thought it was important to note that she is actually a lawyer who is licensed to practice throughout Mexico, specifically in franchise and distribution law, but her knowledge scope is quite vast. She's somebody who has worked as a business coach with clients, focusing on international trade, contracts, intellectual property. She's somebody who has spoken really all over. She gives seminars. She has been a broadcaster, just like what I do professionally, speaking about these realms. So I am absolutely delighted to welcome Claudia Herrmann to the virtual stage here as she talks about our roadmap for success as an entrepreneur. At the end, we'll have about 15 minutes at the end to get all of the questions answered. If you'd like more clarification, I know this is one you are going to want to take notes for. I'm going to be taking notes myself. And without further ado, we send it over to Claudia. Take it away.
Okay, well, thank you so much for the intro, Jenny, and to Sir National for inviting me to be a presenter again. I love doing this. I love talking about business because I'm a businesswoman myself. And of course, I love to see, especially women, start and grow their own business. Here we go. Okay, yes, a roadmap for success. So, starting a new business is definitely a challenge, and we need to know what we are doing. Um, and right now, because we're still in the midst of a pandemic, we've learned to survive, which is very important. And now, the next step is how to bounce back from all the things that happened during last year and this year. And that means that we need to innovate in order to be successful. I think we can all agree that 2021 is completely different than 2020 and especially 2019 when there was no pandemic around and when we didn't see all the shifts that have been happening in this time. So I usually start with a different kind of topic, but I'm going to go straight into the Canvas business model. And this is a very simple, it's a simplified business model to a business plan model to start doing a new business and know where we're going. So the first thing that you need to know, and I'm not going to read everything. I want you please to read everything. You're going to read faster than I can talk. But I'm going to first start with this. You need to know who your partners are, and you better choose the appropriate partners for a business. That is so important. Oftentimes, people say, well, I'm going to start a business with my family. And then it turns out that epic battles ensue because family members might not be exactly the best business partners for what we want to do. Key activities. What am I going to do and how am I going to do it? Especially now in this world where supply chains are completely disrupted, where we have been forced to migrate to the digital business world. And now, 2022 and going forward, what are our value propositions? What it is, what we do, and what it is, what brings value to that thing that we do or we want to do. Next is our customer relationships. How do we get attention when we are literally flooded with companies vying to get our attention and bombarding us with, if it's not just ads that come up on our screen or our inbox, like literally twice or three times a day, but also as soon as we buy something and we haven't even received the product, we already get a survey on how the product is performing. Like, heck, I don't even know what the product is. I haven't even seen it. I haven't been able to touch it. So how can I give you feedback on it? But that's a new world. Of course, how much money and our revenue streams. And you're going to get the presentation if you want to have it. Sir National has the PDF, so you can certainly refer back to this all the time whenever you need to. So now, a lot of businesses as we know it have gone under because, well, they didn't adapt fast enough to the sweeping changes that happened last year. And examples are all around us. We all have seen restaurants that went under almost immediately, and some that are actually thriving and still are thriving. This is just a very visible example, but there's so many more. We all know Amazon. I think they tripled their net worth and they tripled their operations because everybody started buying online instead of going to a store to buy things. So you need to know first, if you have an idea for a new business, you need to know what the critical path of action is to help you start and then grow the business. And what you need to do is, first of all, you are starting a new company and you might be entering into a new market. But then again, your proposition might be not that new, that you're entering a market that is already completely crowded. So you need to evaluate and then start your business plan. And the Canvas model is certainly part of it. And I'm going to walk you through the traditional business plan, and then implement your business plan, and then consolidate this new business that you have. And then again, 5 years later, you will need to redraft your business plan because 5 years in the future, your business will be not like it is now. Absolutely, I can tell you that. And you need a roadmap because if you don't know where you're going, well, you're already there. It's as simple as that. If you have an idea for a business and you're going to start with your new business, you need to surround yourself and tap into the vast resources that are out there to help you with that organization, with the startup, with the ideas, with the mentoring, with everything. So you need a network of mentors. That is absolutely important. And I can tell you, I mean, Sir National definitely has a lot of resources. There are organizations like SCORE, and of course, the SBA, which offer loans to startups, the SBDC. You can even go to some banks and they will loan you money. There are the chambers of commerce, and you need to become a member of them if you want to succeed because they all have an audience that can either be a mentor for you, they can be a client for you, or they can refer you clients. And then, of course, I mean, you have companies that you will need to hire and professionals that will help you because when you start a business, you are the entire orchestra. You're not just the director, the conductor. You do everything yourself. Well, first of all, you're spreading yourself thin. And secondly, you're a master of all trades. And guess what? You're not a good master of all trades. You cannot do everything by yourself. You're not, or if you're a lawyer, you're not an accountant. If you're an accountant, you're not a lawyer, and you're not a marketer. If you are a marketer, you're not a lawyer, and so on and so forth. So the key thing that I want you to take away is that you need to get help. You need to get training. You need to educate yourself in order to get support for that new business that you want to start. You definitely, and I will repeat it until the cows come home, you need mentors. And you need to develop a new set of skills that will help you grow your business. Knowledge is the thing that absolutely you will need to have. It's the most valuable thing. And let's face it, I mean, we're now in the midst of the start of the fourth revolution where everything is turning towards virtual reality and artificial intelligence. And actually, companies, I think personally, some of them are abusing that right now. And you've already read in the news the controversies about Facebook and whatnot, and spying softwares and whatnot the company use. But this is a new model of doing things that has come to stay. And evidently, because of what has happened, the acceleration that the pandemic caused, like the great resignation that we're seeing nowadays, the ways of generating income are also radically changing. The traditional business model is no longer valid. We need to look ahead, 21, 22, and so on and so forth, so that we know exactly where we're going with the shifts in technology, with the shifts in the mindset of the people who are your customers. So this was actually something that one of those futurologists predicted. There will be a quantum leap in technology and ways of thinking and doing things in between 20 and 22. And oh my God, that guy turned out to be a prophet. His name is Raymond Kurzweil, by the way. You can look him up on YouTube. The other thing is robotics are going to change it, are going to replace human beings. It's already here. Unfortunately or fortunately, robots are performing a lot of the tasks that humans used to do. So the COVID-19 factor, apps, everything turned to mobile apps. So the mobile app spending is expected to double by 2022. So if you have a very novel app that you're designing, this is the time to place it on either your Android phone or your iPhone. Increase in online shopping. If you start a new business selling products, specifically products, whatever they are, you need to have an online platform to deliver those products to your customers. Why? Because people got used to buying online and reduced human contact. I mean, somebody said, well, 2020 marked the year where people stopped hugging, and it's very true. We couldn't hug because there was a risk of catching the virus. Categories like electronics and health experienced a 91 and 109% of increase. So go figure, there you have a very great opportunity to start a new business. So if I come up with my little crystal ball and I think what the future will bring, well, first of all, I think, and this is my thinking as a businesswoman, first of all, if you're into robotics, this is the time for you to start placing a product. If you, for instance, are into, okay, I want to design a new robot that's going to do this and this and that, this is the time for it. Secondly, alcohol. I think, and I don't have the stats, but oh my God, last year, alcoholic beverages increased their sales exponentially. I went to a Specs one time to get Everclear to make sanitizer out of it, not to drink it. And what I saw is people going crazy buying cartloads of alcohol to consume. They were not doing what I was doing, is getting alcohol for sanitizing. There was a time where sanitizers were not sold. So anyway, online sales. And of course, everything that services the human body. I have been, I think, a pretty good student of both the multi-level marketing industry and the franchising industry. And I can tell you this, the multi-level marketing industry is growing also exponentially. And the reason is very simple. Everything is online. You get a platform by your whatever company you're choosing, and they take a lot of the risk out of starting a new business. So if you don't have a lot of money, maybe that is the best opportunity to start with a business without having to incur in a big investiture. Franchises also, some of them are quite cheap, but some of them are very expensive. I mean, your startup costs are maybe $100,000, $200,000. So if you don't have that money, or if you don't have at least enough money to sustain the business while it gets to the point of the return of investment, then you might better go to a simpler model, or you can start your own business, but you have to study the competitors. So these are some questions that I want you to answer, not me. You you have to write them down. And just as Jenny said, it's the why. Why do I want to start a business? And be brutally honest with yourself, please. Maybe you're burned out. Maybe at your job, they are really mistreating you, or the load of work is so big that you're saying, oh my God, I just don't have time for anything anymore. I come home and I'm dead tired. So I better start something new. And, or maybe it's just because, okay, you reached a point in your life where you say, hey, I want to do something else for myself, for my family. I want to have more fun in life. I want to, I don't know, maybe make more money, of course. Why not? So write down your why and then answer all the other questions that are here on this slide. And especially, how can I make my new business crisis proof? Because 2020, if there's something that it taught us, whatever worked until January and February of 2020 no longer worked after that. And for a lot of people grew their business, but a lot of people went under or almost went under. And then you have to do the SWOT model, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit. But you need to start answering all these questions. And there are some more questions here, which you need to write down. And that means answering these questions, it means that you have to study where you are, what your competition is doing, who your competitors are, and what you need to start a business. And really, I love this time in which we're living, first of all, because we were sitting in our homes last year, especially without a possibility of going anywhere. But we were connected thanks to platforms like WebEx and Zoom and all that, even our phones. So we have the technology to work for us. And you need to write down your strengths and your weaknesses, and especially what are the risks you're incurring when you start a new business. Now, I, this is a statistic that I have read over and over again. 93% of startups fail before their second year. It's unfortunate, but it's true. So you want to set up yourself, you want to set up yourself up for success and not for failure. And again, I am a big advocate of franchises and network marketing. And also what I'm seeing is, and it's pretty evident, the businesses that will succeed in this year and the next years are tech driven, and especially the ones that are related to servicing our body, because we need to service our body. And that is like health and wellness, of course, food and services, you know, even like pedicures and all that. I mean, we all need to clip our nails now and then. So I want you to write down, what is your business idea or the passion that drives your business? And you have to tap into what you're good at and what you really love doing. Let's say you're a painter. Well, you can start painting whatever you want to paint, use the medium that you want to use. But how about not creating just one piece? How about reproducing it in one of those Giclée machines, and then you have maybe 5,000 that you can sell? So it's not only that you make a one-time sale of one creative product, but you're making 5,000 sales of that creative product. You have to also figure out where your idea came from. Maybe you read something in your news feed. Maybe you saw something on TV. Maybe you watched a show and you said, hey, this is a good idea. Or maybe it's the need that is driving your new idea. You have to be very creative when it comes to your business name. And please, you know, for God's sakes, don't use a name that is well known. If you try to do that, you'll get sued. Believe me, you will get sued. So better be creative. And if you're not that creative, hire a marketer to develop your logo, your corporate colors, and your name. And you can just bounce around names and ideas until finally one comes around that resonates with you and you say, this is it. Your why going on with that. You need to analyze what is needed. Remember, whenever you want to sell something to somebody, it's because you're satisfying a very specific need that you and your business can satisfy. So you need to write down, okay, is my product needed? And if this is what is needed, okay, in this area, let's say a geographic area, or I don't know, it might be baby products. Okay, babies need this and this and that. Maybe your idea is within an industry that it's exploding. Well, then you have a nice niche of growth. Or you come up with something that is completely new, then you don't have competitors. Well, that is great, but then you need to tell your customers that they have a need for something that wasn't there before and that you are providing. Or it can be something as simple, I hate my job, or I'm burned out, or blah, blah, blah. I mean, you just write it down. And you also have to write down why it is you believe in what you want to do. That's really important. If you don't believe in yourself, nobody will believe in you. That's that's evident. Then you have to write down your mission statement. Okay. And please don't make I don't know, I've seen some mission statements that are half a page long. And even the ones that created those mission statements, they don't know what they are. They forget about it. So make it short and simple and sweet. And the mission statement has to reflect who you are, your philosophy, your core values, and where do you want to go with a reasonable certainty. Then how much? And this is really crucial. How much money do you have to start your business? If you don't have much, it doesn't matter. You can still start a business with little or no money at all. But then as soon as you start generating sales, you need to reinvest in your business. So how much money do you have? And this is also not only to start a business, how much money do you have to support your business during its first year? So, what is your average return of investment time? Or do you need financing? Then, how much and where are you going to go to get that financing? So, you have to be very specific. You want to sell XYZ products and have a network of, let's say, 100 or 1,000 distributors in your first year, or you want to generate sales of such and such amount in your first year, or, this is another example. You want to sell software solution and you want to have 1,000 clients in your first year. You know, uh, Phone apps might very well fall into that category, or you want to sell XYZ amount of whatever product or service units you have in your first year. Maybe you want to start, let's say, a nail business. Then you have to find out who your competitors are and how much they're charging for the nail services and what it is that you offer that is different from everybody who's out there offering, the fake nails. You need to describe your product or service, and this relates to your vision, your general vision, and a very clear descriptions of your core business, your main products and services. And you can read this. I mean, core business is the product or family product or service which you will provide. And you might have a line of products. Let's say I have a client who manufactures soaps. Okay, he has like 20 soaps, but he's going to start by selling maybe 3 or 4. Those are the core products. And these are just bar soaps, but he tends to move to liquid soaps within 1 year or two. But your core product and to take this example, are just the 4 or 5 bar soaps. And then you can plan your growth. You need to know who your clients are. For instance, there's a guy named Steve Arsano. I read an article about him. He sells luxury private jets, and his clients are the emir of the Arab United Emirates and people like Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos or some kings and queens in Europe. So this is a super high-end business. He has few clients, but each sale is $50 million. So you want to go to the very high-end market, or you can go the other way. You manufacture something or have something manufactured for you that is massive and is cheap. So your client would be all the supermarkets that are around there. Um, or you can go into the services. And again, I mean, I'm using nail salons just as an example, but it can be gazillions of services. And you can focus on one service or several services that you want to sell. You need to know your market, and that is the amount of your potential clients. So you need to really do some benchmarking here. And benchmarking means examining what the market is out there, what it is doing right now, and so you can compare, okay, who is my competition? How much are they charging for products and services? Where are they selling? What are their distribution channels? And how can I tap into that market and displace some of them? So you need to analyze the current market, the next years. What evolution are you foreseeing within the next 3 to 5 years? And then the trends. Okay, what evolution do you foresee in the 5 to 10 year period coming up? Or where do you want to sell and distribute? And your life cycle. Companies are made, of course, by humans, and that means that they have a life cycle. Companies will be born or start, then they will grow, then they will reproduce, then they will reach their maturity, and then they will die. And if not, you can ask Kodak. Kodak is a perfect example of a company that had all the market in the world. And then it disappeared because they didn't want to shift from film to digital cameras. And that was their doom. They went under. Following with the market. Okay, for instance, health industry. 1 out of 3 women will have developed breast cancer, and 1 out of 3 men will have developed prostate cancer in their lifetime. Why? Because our food intake is not as healthy as it used to be. We have been exposed through our lifetimes to a number of very harmful chemicals, the forever chemicals that everybody's talking about. So maybe you want to tap into the health industry. And right now, the health industry represents $1 trillion. So do you think you have an opportunity there? I think so. Online buying. I used to drive by Valley View Mall and then Spring Creek Mall. They're gone. They're gone. And not 10 years ago, you had all the big companies there. J.C. Penney's, Sears. Sears has gone under. They have a big store here in Mexico where I'm right now, and that is doing great. But in the United States, Sears went under. So the opportunity is e-commerce. You will have to have a website, and you will have to sell through that website no matter what. You have to analyze your competition. So that means doing a very precise and profound benchmarking of how much it costs them to manufacture a product or provide a service, how much their sales are. And there are a lot of platforms that provide that information. You will have to pay for that, but the information is available because that way you know exactly where your product or your service is going. So, and the other thing, which is very important, you have to identify the trends. Where is the market going? What are the consumer preferences? Because they're shifting. And this is one of the favorite parts when I do this in person. I really take a lot of time to have people the, to write down their strengths, their weaknesses, their opportunities, and threats. And please, when you write down this SWOT model, be very, very honest. This is only for you and for nobody else. You can actually hide it somewhere so that nobody finds it, but you have to be brutally honest about what is that makes you great. But then again, what are your weaknesses? For instance, I mean, and I have to be very honest about it. I'm a big procrastinator and I hate following up, but I force myself to do it because otherwise, I mean, my clients would sue me or they would be really unhappy with me. So follow up, follow up, follow up. You might have another weakness. Maybe you're not good at public speaking and you want to start a business where you have to make presentations to a public. Well, you have to force yourself to get public speaking classes. Some people are really nervous when it comes, I mean, even small crowds like 20 people, and they might, oh my God, and they freeze. Well, you have to get over it. Or what are your threats? And of course, where the opportunities are. So here, strengths, they help you. Opportunities, they help you. And they're internal, your strengths and weaknesses. And then the external factor, which are the opportunities and the outside threats. Then the other thing is the product and service policy. It's how you will introduce your product and service to your market and how you will grow and maintain your sales. You know, the main thing about is that you don't want to get new clients all the time. You want to turn those clients into loyal followers to you and your brand. That is so important because in today's world where we are so interconnected through social media, through email, through applications like, I don't know, WhatsApp and Signal and Telegram and all that. The thing is this, if somebody likes your product, they might, just might, tell somebody, look, I like this product or service and I like this person who's selling it. But then again, if they're unhappy for whatever reason or no reason at all, guess what? They're going to talk to everybody about how much they hate you and your product or your product if they don't know you. So you don't want that. So what you need to do, and unfortunately, this is something that everybody has to do. Yes, you want to have surveys. Yes, you want feedback from your clients, but don't abuse it. Please don't abuse it. I mean, for me, it's so infuriating when I see that I haven't even received a product and then immediately somebody wants feedback. Or, you know, if I go to a restaurant and they just put the food on the table and say, how is it? Do you like it? Well, I mean, how about letting me try it first? So don't overdo it. You have to determine, let's say you're manufacturing a product or somebody's manufacturing a product for you. Okay, so your production and delivery capability, the technological impact, customer service. If somebody's unhappy, remedy it because you don't want people posting an unhappy and bad comment about your product or your service on social media. It reaches millions of people. And actually, I mean, this is something that both the franchise and the network marketing industries do for you. They absorb that risk of people being unhappy, and they have a whole team of risk management experts and customer service experts that can smooth things out with an unhappy client. Advertising. In today's world, you depending on what you want to do, yes, you might need printed ads or flyers or postcards, but you also need to heavily advertise on social media and you need to invest money in that. You need to have a professionally done website. Listen, if you don't have right now the money to pay, I don't know, maybe $2,000 to somebody to develop a professional website for you, There are alternatives like, let's say, Wix, which is something that I have used, for our MEP Foundation website. And you have lots of resources there, and it's very simple. It's all drag and drop, drag and drop. And you can maybe use somebody who's creative. Actually, students are great at that, using younger people for that. And they can help you with the creative aspect of it. And of course, I mean, you need to purchase email lists and have a subscription to services like, I don't know, Constant Contact or MailChimp or whatever, to be in contact and connected to your clients. And of course, you need to do some public relations activities too. Your sales policy. How are you going to sell? Well, you need to write down your sales objectives, and actually, you need the flow chart for that, and your value proposition. That is so important. And then quality versus price. I mean, maybe you think about selling something that is just a few dollars, but quality, hey, I mean, you know that your clients, okay, they know that they're buying something very cheap and it's a throwaway. I mean, maybe a week or 2 weeks later, or maybe a month later. Or you can have a medium level product or a high end product. It's a comparison is between maybe selling a very cheap handbag versus one of those fancy brand handbags that cost $30,000. So exactly where is your product located and what your client and who your clients are that are going to spend money in buying your product or your services. Uh, Marketing, you need somebody to promote your business. And as I said, and I have done that before, I've used students, and I love working with students in design schools because they're so creative. Young people are so incredibly creative, and they love the opportunity to put in practice what they're learning, and they won't charge you as much. Later on, when your business is growing, you definitely will need some professional help. And actually, I mean, those students will graduate and they might become your professional advisor. You have to make it legal. Um, I'm not an attorney in in the United States, but I think everybody knows that having a company, let's say an LLC or a corporation, is a buffer between you and your clients and the liability. And of course, probably you will need insurance for your new business. You probably will need licenses or permits, or let's say, I mean, to use the example of the soaps, you will need to comply with labeling requirements. You will need to have a voluntary registration with the FDA and other agencies. And you better get an attorney. And again, the internet is so benign in this regard. You can hire the services of a law firm and not pay as much because they offer maybe not a customized service, but still a service that you can use and that is not as expensive. You have to set aside money for taxes. The last thing you want with your new business is having the IRS going after you. Insurance, that is so important. If something happens, you need to be protected. Probably you cannot afford to have $1 million lawsuit. And people, believe me, they sue. You need an operations plan. You need a results plan. And that is a follow-up and evaluation. You need to hire the services of an accountant or at least a tax preparer to help you file your taxes. And the final thing is you need to have a contingency plan. What if? So think ahead of all the things that can happen, even if they are completely outlandish, even if they are, uh, I don't know, I mean, not even feasible, but write it down. You have to make sure your company can adapt to all the changes, even a recession, and please document yourself. Document whatever you do, put it in writing, make files, even if they're virtual files, and you put them in the cloud. But you have to document because if something happens, if something goes wrong, you can always go back and say, no, no, no. Let's say a client who's really unhappy because you shipped a product and they claimed that they never received it and they needed it for XYZ and it was crucial for something. And you can document and say, no, I'm sorry, this is the proof that the product was delivered to your doorstep. So you have to monitor your goals and your income. And first of all, I mean, not first of all, but really important, reinvest in your company. That is, I think it's crucial. And I am from Mexico, and I've seen over and over so many companies where the owners, they drive, these $200,000 cars, but the companies are poor. I mean, they don't even invest in having enough paper to print things out. They don't pay their employees enough. So the turnover is huge, but they don't realize that they had to invest in training their people. They had to invest in providing them with equipment to, I don't know, maybe service their customers. And then those people, they leave with the knowledge that they gained from those companies. And oftentimes, these people, they become your competitors. So do you really need that? I don't think so. Right? So always, always, always invest, invest, invest in your business. And that means not only putting money back into your business, it means you as the owner getting training, acquiring new knowledge, because the world is moving at such a fast pace. And invest in the people in your business, regardless of whether you use AI, artificial intelligence applications and software and everything that's out there. The final recipient is always a human being. And you are a human being servicing that human being that's on the other side. So invest in your business. And we're getting here pretty much to the end of the presentation. Oftentimes, when you request loans, let's say from the SBA or the SBDC, or you go to a bank or some other financial institution, they want a complete business plan. So you have to put it in writing and make sure that you write it without grammar mistakes and all kinds of horrible language mistakes. You have to start with the executive summary. The executive summary is something that you put at the beginning, but you draft it at the end, after you have written everything else and after you've written down your numbers. And what is the executive summary? It's a presentation of your business, and it needs to include the SWOT analysis, I mean, the strengths, even the weaknesses, the opportunities that you foresee for your business, your expertise, which is really important, and especially what makes you trustworthy. It's so important in this world, not only to be honest, but also to have integrity. And those are human commodities that I see disappearing at a fast rate, unfortunately. But I believe that most people are good and most people are honest. So, but you have to flaunt it. I mean, it was like maybe it was a given thing, maybe even 10 years ago, but not in today's world. You have to advertise yourself. You have to promote yourself. And I don't have time, unfortunately, to go into personal branding, but acting with honesty and integrity and being professional is really a huge part of the success of your business. And you have to reflect your knowledge, not only of your product and service, but also of the market. You have to write your business model and your goals. And those are the short-term goals, the medium-term goals, and the long-term goals. You have to write down where you want to be with your business within the next 10 years. So this is something that I usually also have people write down for a quite extensive bit of time, because it is so crucial. So the tools, again, as I said, your integrity, your honesty, your personal value, your values, your messages. What are you saying to the people you want to have as clients, or a banker, say, if you need a loan, or a business partner that you want to bring in? And how do you comport yourself? Your professionalism, I mean, how you dress and accessorize. And then I know this is controversial, quote unquote, but it's really important. Let's say you have a tattoo business. Well, you better flaunt your tattoos. I mean, make them perfect. Make beautiful tattoos on your skin and show them off and say, here, look at this. This is a beautiful work of art. And this is what I bring to the table. Now, if you are, say, a financial analyst, well, you don't want to flaunt a tattoo. You need a tie, you need a professional suit. If you're a makeup artist, well, you have to put on makeup. I mean, it depends on what you do. And please don't take this like I'm offending somebody or something. I mean, this is really important because that is what will sell you, because it's always you who is behind your product and your service. How you express yourself, depending on the audience. Let's say you're selling products to a teenage audience, well, you better speak teenage. If you're selling to people who are in their fourth teenagehood, like myself, then you better use a language that appeals to baby boomers, right? And always, always, always be courteous. Always smile. Always greet people and be thankful. Even if they say no, tell them, okay, thank you for the opportunity to listen to me or the opportunity to present my product or my service. And this is so important. You know, there's a whole set of courses, and I have some courses on that, on mindfulness. It, it's nothing more than putting yourself in other people's shoes. And with that, if you know that your client, your customer wants this and this and that, if you put yourself in their shoes, you really are making a huge stride towards selling your products and services. And with that, well, this is the end of my presentation. I think, yes, I am. Well, I went a few minutes over it. But if you have any questions, please reach me at my professional email. And my website is down right now. I'm redoing it, but it's going to be on next week. And this is my phone number. Please feel free to text me. Right now I'm in Mexico, so chances are that I won't be able to answer, but I will get back to you. So send me a text and I will talk to you. And thank you, thank you, thank you so much for the opportunity to talk to you. I can't see you, unfortunately, but I know you're there, and I hope this has been of value to you.
Claudia, you've been lovely. This has been incredibly helpful. It's been wonderful. And for everybody who didn't catch those websites, I actually typed them into the chat. Then she has another website that is live as we speak. So that one's up right now. And then her number, which is really generous of her to share because she does do private consulting with businesses, et cetera. And I wanted to talk about that. You were mentioning just it made me think about it, you know, the employer that sort of isn't very generous with their business and doesn't reinvest in their business. There was just a LinkedIn survey that indicated 37% of people who are working right now are looking to change jobs. So if somebody's
Yes.
thinking about starting a business, they want to be, if someone's changing jobs, you want them to come to you. And as I've heard it right now, hiring is tough. So what's your best advice for somebody who's opening a business to, you know, to be attractive to employees, to be able to attract the best of the best?
Well, first of all, you are the product. It doesn't matter whether you want to sell soaps or you have a new app that you want to place on smartphones. It doesn't matter what it is. You are the person behind the business. So you have to invest first and foremost in yourself. You have to educate yourself. So read as much as you can about business development. You also have to work on yourself. I mean, if you're grumpy, well, chances are that people are not going to like you. And because they don't like you, they're not going to like your product or service. So practice smiling. And actually, if you do that, no matter how down you are, you might be even depressed. But if you smile at yourself in front of a mirror, you will feel better. If you're grumpy, I don't know, for whatever reason, your kids, I don't know, they didn't do their homework and the teachers called you, whatever, it doesn't matter. Okay, take a deep breath, like, And one of my trainings, I do an envisioning exercise, which is basically take a few deep, deep, deep breaths and then visualize, close your eyes and visualize where you want to be tomorrow, starting with tomorrow, where you want to be in the next 3 years, where you want to be in the next 5 years, and also what do you want to give back. It's a lot of human interaction is about giving back, not only taking. You want to be a giver. You want to do something good for others because it will reflect back on you. So that is a big advice that I give to people whenever I talk to them. And I'm not the one who invented that. I have to give credit to a guy named Vishen Lakhiani who came up with that.
Yes, visualization is certainly powerful. Thank you for that reminder because there's the tangible things and then there's the intangible things, which that falls into the category of. So Veronica's asking, where can somebody look for grants for a business for a nonprofit that they would like to start? They're saying it sounds like don't have a lot of funds, but would like to start a nonprofit. Is there a
Okay.
way you would
Yeah.
recommend going about that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There are a lot of grants out there. And let me tell you this, I mean, AMEP is a nonprofit, so we formed a 501c3. In order to get grants that are deductible, that can be um, offset from taxes, you need to have a 501c3. So you need to form your nonprofit, and then you need to apply to for the 501c3 status with the IRS, and that is usually the advisable period is 4 to 6 months after incorporating it. Now, as to grants, well, you need to have a business plan for your nonprofit because your grantors, especially when it's a startup nonprofit, they don't know you, they don't know what you have been doing. So you don't have a track record that they can reference to. So you write the business plan and then you start with small applications and just Google because it depends on where your area of service is as a nonprofit. Say you want to work with victims of domestic violence and or gender violence. Mary Kay has a very specific set of grants for nonprofits that work with women who are victims of domestic violence. So if that is your niche, okay, there you have a company, but you can make Google searches as to who is offering grants. Of course, if you're working with, let's say, breast cancer, well, there's a Susan G. Komen Foundation, and they distribute about $1 billion, if not more, every year to nonprofits who have programs of awareness and prevention of breast cancer. I mean, it depends on what area you are in, but look for companies that offer those, and even little. I mean, banks work with nonprofits. They have it's called CRA or something. It's community something or other. So they have to give money to the community, and that means giving money to nonprofits who work with the community. So you can talk to your banker about that.
Wonderful advice. Yeah, we have to kind of do the research on that and do the legwork, it sounds like. Now, I know that you have worked in Mexico specializing in franchise law. I'm wondering if you have any advice to impart upon people who are considering doing a franchise, sort of what you should look for. And I know we just have a couple minutes. I'm sure there's a lot you should look for, but what are some of the main things you should look for when you are going to invest in a franchise and potentially become a franchise owner?
Well, franchising is not a cheap business model, um, but again, is looking into what the market is demanding right now, and areas of opportunity abound. I mean, there are 900,000 franchises out there. You can look into the International Franchise Association's website. They have a lot of resources there about if you want to start a franchise, what it is. I mean, pretty much everything is franchisable. So it again, it refers back to your passion. What it is, what you really like, what is your strength, or what are your strengths, and where do you think you can fit in? You know, where's your niche? So when it comes to franchising, you have to think a lot about um, where you want to, what you want to do, where you want to go. But you also have to think that franchising are two businesses. First is your core business, let's say hamburgers. We all know McDonald's, right? That is a huge franchise, or Subway. Okay, one thing is the sale of hamburgers and sandwiches. Another completely different business is the franchising business. So these are two parallel businesses that interact all the time. So you have to consider that when you want to start a franchise business.
Great advice. Somebody's asking, say they want to start a professional organizing business. Can that be set up as a nonprofit?
I think so. You have to know that when you're setting up a nonprofit, you cannot take the revenue to actually, of course, make profit. I mean, the the executives of the organization can have a salary for sure, and it can be a pretty high one. I mean, you can pay yourself, I don't know, $1 million or whatever a year. But nonprofits are not designed to get revenue and do it as a commercial enterprise. So yes, you can, but if that is the business model, and if you want to use the nonprofit to give back more than anything, if you want not to make, I mean, evidently a business out of it, something where you can make money, and that's that.
So, if am I understanding correctly, you couldn't say, okay, I want to open it as a nonprofit because I don't think I'm going to make a lot of money and I want to reap the benefits of being a nonprofit, but I'm not actually giving back. You have to be taking whatever revenue you do earn and giving it back to somebody or some organization, correct?
Yeah, I mean, nonprofits are not there to make money for the sake of making money, or, growing a business, which is a completely different mindset and a completely different activity. Nonprofits are there to service a community of people. It doesn't matter if it's, domestic violence or childhood literacy or adult literacy or whatever, it doesn't matter. The cause is completely different. But you know what? You can build your company as a socially focused and oriented company, a company that gives back, let's say, to the environment or to eliminating poverty. You can set aside money and work with nonprofits that work with whatever cause it's dear to your heart.
Okay, that completely makes sense. And that's similar to what you have done with your business, correct?
Yeah, exactly.
And explain how you came to, just in the 30 seconds we have here, how you came to deciding, okay, I'm going to make this business as a nonprofit.
Well, AMEP wasn't born as a business. We wanted to give back. We realized back in 2011 when we started this 10 years ago that nobody was servicing Latina immigrants like myself. And a lot of Latinas don't speak English and they don't know the culture. They don't know the business culture. They might have been very successful business people in their own countries, but they don't know the rules of the United States, or especially Texas, where we were operating. So we decided to train them and focus on providing that knowledge to the people who wanted to start a business and who were immigrants, and especially women, because women, they are still underrepresented. They are still discriminated against because they're women. And Latinas, if they don't speak the language, they have a double handicap. So we train the people in Spanish, and it proved to be enormously successful. And people loved our program, and they still do, because we bring value and we're not charging for something that somebody else might charge thousands of dollars for.
Excellent. Claudia, you have been a delight. I love your mission, the mission of your nonprofit, the fact that you were here with us today, sharing so much incredible information. So, there was a lot that she shared, but the good thing is, the beautiful thing is that Sarah National actually puts this out on YouTube. The channel is linked in the comments section. So what you'll want to do is go there, hit the subscribe button, and Claudia's entire presentation will be available via replay on Wednesday. You can also find out more about Sarah National's programs through sarah-national.org, which is up in the chat. And then I also posted Claudia's website to her company as well, if you want to get in touch with her to find out more about the business coaching, etc. Claudia, thank you so much.
Thank you. I just saw somebody who says, I enjoy Mexico. Yes, I am enjoying Mexico. I absolutely am, including a good tequila.
Yes, well, that's the beauty of this day and age, right? That we can talk, internationally and still share information and ideas. Claudia, you have been wonderful. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. And thank you, Sir National.
All right, see you next week, everybody. Have a good one.